Okay, it was quite an interesting intro to our panel discussion from these presentations. So my takeaways is why to do IPO if you want to sort of exit maybe from the company and attract some other investment with broader shareholding structure. And also if you want to develop certain projects and most interestingly also to basically motivate your team and help to foster employee stock options. We have Didis Admīdiņš in our panel today who is representing DelfinGroup. I believe it was one of the biggest IPOs reached last year. And so Didis, maybe can you share what was your reasons to enter this stock market?
Yes, thank you, Tina, for this opportunity to talk here. Yes, we had the IPO last year in 2021. We attract more than 8 million euros, and we had at the IPO moment at almost 6,000 new shareholders came into the company. And what can I say? First of all, I can say that I am happy that we did that. That was like next step how to develop our company. And now we are here. It's like a company is like I can say, yes, it's in next level. We can now attract additional capital, and our main aim doing IPO was to pay back our most expensive debt, which was a bond issue. We had quite expensive debt of 14% interest rate, and as we said during IPO, we fulfill our obligations, and we paid till the end of last year. We paid all that back, and now I see that shareholders look at us that they can trust us because we fulfilled these obligations.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 6,000 shareholders. New quite a significant number of shareholders coming in. What does it mean for a company in everyday life?
Yes, of course. What does it mean? From one side, we have to understand that it's not only us in the company. We have to think how to communicate with our shareholders. We have to be transparent, but for our company, maybe it was not so significant change because we already was on stock exchange with our bonds since 2014. We already published our reports in Nasdaq, and therefore it was not so big change, but from other side, it's changed a lot. Yes, how we communicate, how we think daily about our company. We have now these shareholder meetings every quarter because of our dividend policy, which states that we will pay out dividends every quarter, and therefore we need to do a shareholder meeting every quarter. And from one side it's difficult, from other side it's like just daily business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was what I was thinking, working with clients who has like limited number of shareholders. Like how do you see it? Is it like more difficulty to undergo this transparency process and additional communication, or does it bring about like even more maturity and respectability to the company?
Yes, that basically I can say I like that we are transparent now. We don't have anything to hide, and we like to communicate with our shareholders. And I think that's mainly that's future. It's not 90s anymore, and that's future how business have to be. I think everyone will benefit from that.
Okay, thank you. Liene, you gave your case studies from different industries, but how do you see, how ready is fintech as such, as industry to go public? Because we know that most of the times fintechs would be kind of still in startup stage. So what does it require for the company to go public? How mature does it have to be? Because I think the general perception is that it's difficult and expensive to do it.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I think Nasdaq is for each and every company. We do have two marketplaces. Regulated market is for more like matured companies like DelfinGroup. And then we have First North market, which is growth market for companies who are growing. We do have quite a few new listings with the companies established like a couple of years ago or year ago, even still doing losses. So that means that yes, there are like possibility to list, and there are also investors who are willing to invest in such companies. So from that perspective, I think that fintech is even better ready than other industries. Why? Because I believe that you, in your business itself, you are a couple of steps before others in regards to reporting, in regards to like systems, internal organizations, and so on, because it demands, because your like industry demands that. So from that perspective, yeah, I think that's industry's advantage, and that's what also Dainis mentioned, that it's not a really like big additional hassle to have those like those reporting lines ready. Those internal processes aligned, corporate governance, risk management, internal controls, all those things, for very startup companies, it seems like, oh my God, and it is indeed. But when the company grows, all those things are must, because there's no other way. And this is the way I think that the stock exchange gives this like perfect opportunity to go slowly, step by step, and develop and get in order all those things. And the better you will be governed, the better you will be more you will be transparent, the easier it will be to attract investors and do all things company wants. So sky is the limit. So.
So basically it brings about order, and basically the order again brings growth as a result.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you. And Dainis, in your experience, how difficult it is for a company to prepare in general to go public? How do you see? Maybe you have this comparison most likely from different industries, and have you some comparison also from fintechs and other industries? Like how is it challenging?
Thank you, Liene. So I try to take a look at it as a common journey together with the issuer. So for me, as a lawyer and tax professional, this is a process to be done. So it's quite clear and understood. There's nothing not to understand. It's just a process which needs to be done. Yes, it involves pretty much every component of a business. But once you get to the result, which is a prospectus, and you take a look back, you understand it's not actually that complicated. It's a lot of interaction of advisors from different angles. Like there is a number of parties involved, so it's important to keep communication streamlined, and then I think it's all pretty much doable.
And on your client's side, is it like, have you seen maybe someone who starting to do it and then understands no, it's too difficult and doesn't finish the process?
Typically no, because this reason for attracting public financing is taken as a decision. So like for example in DelfinGroup case, there was a need to refinance the bonds, right? So it was very expensive financing. That's why it's business need which needs to be achieved, and it's a very important result for a company. So once the issuer actually does take a decision, so it takes a while. People are asking about how can I use stock options, how do I do this, where do I find this service provider, and so on and so on. But mostly it's all just a matter of discussion, and once the decision is taken, then it's just a matter of doing this. So I've never seen someone starting and not actually finishing that. So especially now with this sandbox, if someone is at that level of uncertainty regarding himself and is even not even understanding like what is this, how do I touch it, and going public is something very, very serious, as I guess businesses see it at least. So now you can have this sandbox tool where you can just sample how it would taste if you go public.
Thank you. And exactly about Sandbox, I wanted to ask Liene, you are participating in evaluating these companies who apply for Sandbox. So can you describe a little bit how does it look? What does it mean for a company to go to Sandbox? And
well, it's rather simple. So there's a list of documents to be submitted. There should be also a short memo written by the company. What are the aims? Why company is thinking about this? What kind of financing they are looking for, whether shares or bonds? How big is the amount of money they need? What are maybe other goals or reasoning they are considering this? And then this information, all those documents, our FSA, Financial Capital Markets Commission, they are like receiving those applications, and then they are calling this working group meeting where there are like different market professionals, investment bankers, lawyers, auditors, Nasdaq, and FSA as well, from like their perspective, because they are the main regulatory body in our country. And and then all those documents are went through by this team of market professionals, and as a result, there's again the result kind of report given to the company. So far, we have one company who has received this report. There are two companies who are currently under this kind of revision. And then with this first company, the result was that we were like having the common meeting all together with the company representatives and all those professionals, and we were like providing the feedback, and feedback relates to like different aspects depending on the competence of those market professionals. Investment bankers were talking about the potential investor interest about this company because of the industry, because of the all other aspects, and what should be done in order to increase this interest from investors. Lawyers were talking more about the compliance requirements, switching from joint stock company, from limited liability company to joint stock company, from Latvian standards to IFRS, and so on and so forth. So they were like covering that part. Stock exchange covering like our part, more like investor relations, corporate governance part, how the company should be like governed, whether there's a board or council needed, and no, all those things. And I think, and there's no obligation for the company to submit the application to the stock market after this exercise. So company takes this report and go home, and then they do what they want to do with it. And what is, I think, very important, that this way to the stock market is rather long. It's not, even if you today don't need money, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do anything. If you think that somewhere in future you might be doing that, so it's worth to start to do it, because those homeworks for some of the companies, the to-do list is rather long. And then it's great that you have time to do all those things slowly, do the reorganization, do the web page, do whatever is needed. And then when the market conditions are appropriate, when company financial situation is appropriate, then you just do the last step and get the money. So from that perspective, I think the sandbox is very good way to just to start and see how far I am from the stock market.
So it's basically like doing a vendor's due diligence internally and getting everything in order, basically free of charge. Great tool. Didis, I will not ask you if it was difficult for you to prepare because you were already before in the bonds market, but were there some like tips and tricks that you could share? You attracted quite a broad investors amount, and like, is there some tips and tricks how to go beyond so-called professional investors and attract broader public?
Yes, thank you. I think one thing which is very important is to communicate with society. One thing what was I think like one difficulty for us was that capital markets was not so ready for our IPO, because before our IPO there was already mentioned Mother Cosmetics, which was in 2017, and we did the IPO in 2021, therefore more than 4 years between those IPOs. And we have to somehow to prepare potential investors. We did already like such exercise. We educate people how to open the account, it's like I don't remember, but special account in the bank where to store those stocks, and that was and other thing, yes, to communicate, to tell about our decision, to tell about why we are doing that, and one also difficulty for our company was that our main customer was not a potential investor. Like in a Virši case, there was a fit that their customers could be their investors, and they also had this program for investors. So it's like buying 100 stocks, and then you can get this reward card. And that was not our case, but and in other case when these companies doing this IPO, that could benefit. And that and other tips and tricks, yes, as already Liene mentioned, that tips and tricks, I think, is that company itself anyway benefit from those things which is needed for doing IPO. And I'm very happy that we are in such situation. Maybe I'm happy that we did IPO, and we need also to fulfill all these obligations, have to be ready for that. That I think it's very good thing. It's like university for company. It's like, and also I think that maybe those IPO and to being on stock exchange, it's like selection of best companies which we have in an environment.
So it's like a cool badge, cool company badge to have. Liene, do you see from Nasdaq perspective, is there something that is still lacking from the legislative perspective to improve this capital market? And
yeah, well, maybe one thing what comes to my mind, as I said, that Nasdaq is represented in all 3 Baltic countries, and we do have exchanges also in Tallinn and Vilnius. And we are like positioning our markets as a Baltic market. So what does it mean? It means that we do have the same web page, same trading system, same investor base. So all investors, regardless of their like place of origin, can trade on our market. When it comes to the IPO, it's not so easy because we still are 3 different countries with the 3 different regulations and FSAs. And then, for example, when company plans to attract some public offering, then in order to attract also Estonian or Lithuanian investors, there are certain additional administrative burden, which seems to be quite heavy, especially for SMEs, for relatively small companies. It means that the company should prepare full prospectus, and it's no, of course, expensive and so on. While offering is executed in one country, then it's not a problem. There are like certain limits of money to be attracted, under which there's no need for prospectus at all. So, and that's why we have like heard like different discussions with the investment companies and also issuers who are like companies who are planning to do the IPO, that they would be happy to offer it to all Baltic clients, but investors. But yeah, it's administrative burden is. But all 3 FSAs has started the dialogue, so hopefully there will be some yeah, way out of it found, because yeah, each of us, we are very small markets. If we put all 3 of us together, then it becomes more interesting for both, for investors and also for companies.
Maybe to add also, you have to understand that in Estonia's market are much bigger than Latvian market, and there is also quite a bigger investor base. Therefore, if you are going to stock exchange, my suggestion is to communicate with Estonian potential investors, because in our case it's like 70% investors was from Estonia.
How did you reach them?
It's like our public relations. As we mentioned, we are a transparent company. We published all our reports, and also we are doing webinars, and then it's like public relations, and we have to communicate with Estonian potential investor. And yes, and financial literacy in Estonia, it's quite in better shape than in Latvia. We are some years behind them.
Hopefully not light years. But
you're also very active on social networking, right?
Yes,
with actually communicating the news on what is going on with
it's
the
like said one of our consultants, it's like the national sport is investing.
Yeah, they are counting around 100,000 active retail investors, so they are who are like actively buying shit. In Latvia, it's
a little bit
15,
slower, yeah.
15, maybe 20,000.
So that's one takeaway where we actually all need to work on to also improve this financial literacy. Dainis and maybe also Liene, is there some like advice like how to build a successful relationship between the company who is going public and the issuing bank and the Nasdaq? Is there something to bear in mind? Maybe Dainis.
I always very much enjoy discussions with investment bankers because they, as far as I have experienced, they like to drill to the point. So, and they always actually help the issuer to identify. Sometimes the issuer comes with a bunch of ideas and it's just trying to figure out how to formulate actually why to go public and what to do with the funds. So the investment banker is just be open, try to explain exactly in your words how you see it, why you would need some additional financing and funding, why you plan to see yourself as public entity, describe a business opportunities you see, and then they will help you figure out how to formulate it in a simple and understandable manner. So that's basically starting point from which you start the process. So it's a key person, and having right investment advisor on the team is crucial actually, because he's then helping to communicate with the issuer bank. He helps to communicate also with all the other parties involved. So it depends on the composition of the team, but it's really important that he, obviously, investment banking team, part of the team, understands what is the so to say the idea in brief.
And the trick, I think, is to understand whether they understand, because yeah, we have had different experiences. But I would say that the company aiming for the stock exchange and looking around for some consultant or support team should start with assessing their own resources, and the competences, what the company knows good and does good. For example, Indexo just did IPO with just legal consultants, because they didn't need investment bankers. They did have quite a broad investors base themselves, and so on. So there were just very limited support from others. So, and of course, strong legal support, because they drafted prospectus for 300 pages or something. So legals did their work well. Then it comes to the marketing, because going to the exchange means marketing. It's marketing. You should sell yourself, not your product, but yourself, your company. And then again, a company should assess whether you yourself can do it. Madara, for example, was brilliant with the marketing. They did everything by themselves. They had brilliant ideas. They were able to execute them, and there were no need for any external support. Of course, they needed investment bank, and of course, they needed legal support. So it very depends. But when it comes to choosing particular, if you know that you have to choose this investment bank, or this legal consultant, or this like marketing agency helping you, I would say the work speaks better than words. So you should look for their job done. So look around what other companies have used, what kind of support team, and ask them to show what they have done, and then you can pick the best one.
Actually, you need consultant which is able to work 24/7.
Yeah, at least for some period of time.
Yeah. Does it also mean that 24/7 also for the team in the company? How was it in your case? For some time.
But it's really 24/7. It could be Sundays or Saturday mornings.
Okay. Okay, but it's quite a rewarding result in the end. So I will give each of you a word for final remarks, or I don't know, maybe invitation or something, and then we can slowly close up. Dainis, yeah.
Thank you. I would maybe just, what I like about this IPO idea is that you can realize pretty much whatever you want to do. So let's take a look at Indexo. They are raising funds to build a bank, which from the start sounds very interesting, but it is happening. So and funds are being raised, people are ready to invest. So maybe a bit more in Estonia, but as Liene said, so the 3 Nasdaq are in cooperation. So this is, I would like to just encourage you and maybe your surrounding to give it a thought. And if you feel it is compelling to you, then you're welcome to proceed. It's probably a good time to start working on that.
Yeah, we have a tradition. When there's a new company joining the market, then we are organizing celebrations. Drinking champagne, eating cake, and so on. So it's for the company, it's a very huge milestone achieved, and it's usually a great party for everybody involved, and even more. And what we do present to the companies is picture which is taken in New York in Times Square, welcoming the company to the market, to the Nasdaq. So I wish everyone could experience that. So it's, I think, very huge achievement and yeah, reason to be proud of and being part of the Nasdaq.
Yeah, yes, just to add, if you have good track record, if you have a good business strategy and you have like need for additional capital, then it's I think very good decision to do that and to do IPO. And you have to, of course, you have to prepare company, but anyway, existing shareholders and new shareholders will benefit from that, and therefore I suggest to do that.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win, basically. So on this positive note, thank you guys for joining me today, and for those who are watching, please follow our social networks. We will continue with other different topics, and thank you everyone, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.